Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm Jeff.
and it is Wednesday in the Riv, and we are ready to rock and roll. But let's start with CJ. CJ, the, the, the his brother's wake is tomorrow from 4 to 7 at Hathaway Funeral. That is an absolute now. We know that. We And the funeral is the following day. So uh, if anybody wants to go down and offer their condolences personally, I know he's gotten a lot of people that reach out to him, and he's very appreciative of that. So just so everybody knows, it's Hathaway. Hathaway's up the north end. Just take Robeson Street and drive up there. If you're driving up from the center of the city, it's on the right hand side of the road, so it will be on the actually east side technically. If you want to get your compass out and know which way you're going, if you're driving north on Robeson, it'll be on the east side. If you're driving south, it will still be on the east side, but it'll be to your left, right, your right. So yeah, so things are beginning to move a little bit, Jeff. I don't know about we see Coogan's announcing building a few affordable housing units. The man who said he wasn't
Yeah.
interested in it, but it's still less than Somerset has done in 1 year. He hasn't done in his entire term. So
Well, I heard about that the other day, and then they brought this up about one of the apartments going to have only four, count them four, affordable. Have the rest will be market rate.
yeah,
I just I'm shaking my head. I'm like, dude, this is not what people are trying to find affordable places here in the city, and you're not helping people. You're really not. And I know last night because I was at because I don't know if you watched the city council meeting, but I was there. And you talk about trying to find an apartment. Look what people are upset about with their water bills going up, because that was a clown show last night. I was only there but I was there for a little while. But you know, when you and I unfortunately I didn't see a lot of people there to say I don't want my water bill to go up. I mean, you had three people talked about no on water, on my taxes going up on water. So I don't know if they vote yes. I tried to reach Andrew. I didn't get no response. I might see him later tonight if he does show up to the Flint neighborhood. But I didn't know if it was a discussion, because they did bring up a lot of issues of why Westport has not paid Fall River on money by using our water. So and I'm not great with math. That's my negative. I am not great with math, and they were counting. They owed Fall River over $800,000, and they guess they paid $6, so they're still off a couple $100,000. So it's very frustrated. But yet, what really gets to me is that the councils ask these people from our water department, why are you not giving them fees, but they're not paying us back? Oh, it's not in our hands right now, but we will bring that up next time. We are going to have that talk. So I don't know if you watched it. When I was there, I was just like, ugh,
look, it was
you get people.
You hate that. Well, I don't hate to say it. I actually like to say it. Paul Coogan is the best advertisement against voting for him that there is. He's better than any candidate. He self-destructs himself. He goes 6 years not caring about anything, and now all of a sudden he's talking about all the things that he's ignored for 6 years. He builds a few affordable housing units. He thinks everybody forgot. He said he's not interested in affordable housing. We've got plenty of affordable housing, because he thinks that public housing and workforce housing. And I even question the fact that these quote unquote affordable housing units are truly going to be affordable. We saw the last advertisement. We showed it on the show when it said you had to have you had to make between $62 and $79,000, for one person, and that's nobody can qualify. That's workforce where you have these requirements. Public housing is for people who have extremely low incomes. Workforce housing is for people with actually, for Fall River, have extremely high incomes. He just lives in a dream world. He lives in the la la land that they all live, like Michelle Wu and everybody else. They live in that la la land that says, everything is great. You don't understand. Well, Fall River, $31,000 is the per capita income. You can't qualify for it's less than half the national and state income. So affordable housing for Fall River for the people who actually work for a living and don't have great jobs, and they have to work 2 jobs just to keep their head above water. And now you're seeing water bills that are going to be transferred partly over to them by their landlords. You have all these other things going on. And this clown is just pretending that he cares. Oh, I'm building 4 units. I'm building another. We're going to build, 12. Well, I think it was either 54 or 68 units in one whack Somerset built. There's 18,000 people in Somerset. I mean, he's his own best advertisement for not reelecting him, because everything that now he's kind of noticed. And now, the rents are going to be Nantucket rents. There's another great one. Well, Paul, you created this. They should build a statue to you with your hand in somebody's pocket, taking his money out, picking his pocket, because you created this scenario in Fall River. You, Kenny Fiola, all the rest of them that are in this big giant pot, your friends, developer friends that are all getting rich. They don't care. It's ironic because I saw a local politician. He'll remain nameless right now until I confirm where he's moving. But I happened to be in a market today, and I saw him, and I know him. I know him. He's not city. He's local, but he is a local politician, and he is, he runs for a county office. But to show you what they think about it, okay, you got a video from David, but he was telling one of the employees, who I also know because he used to go to the Boys Club with me. He's a retired, I think he worked for the telephone company or something, or electric light. He worked for one of the utility companies. But, I ran into him earlier, and he said hello. He's got a side job, keep himself occupied. I guess he's retired now. And he said, I just sold my house in Fall River today. So he's getting out of town. Right after the election, he's going to go live in the burbs. I mean, this is what they do. Like Paul bailed out as soon as he retired. He only came back. Yeah.
Yep.
But look, he's his own best advertisement. Everything he says, everybody else in this city knew about for the past 6 years. And what has he done about it? The water bill. Look, this is a combination. This is a confluence of things that I think are going to create a very good environment for people who want to run for office, because it's not only the rents, like you said, it's the water bills, it's everything else, the cost of living, it's everything. I mean, you can't catch a break from this guy. And now if he's going to talk, now I think you're not going to see him talk much about, trash fee pickups and other things, but he still may. But they're still in the middle of contract negotiations, still giving out a boatload of money. And who's going to pay for that? We are. And the Westport, just let me get that and I'll let you go. How outrageous is it that they told people of Fall River, you're going to pay more for your water even if you don't use it, but the people of Westport can get our water for free?
Exactly.
That's the upset. What kind of leader who complains about money lets a surrounding community owe him nearly $1 million before they start worrying about collecting. I mean, the last time I saw something, if you're selling water to people, you're supposed to collect. And I bet you they're selling them at a discount rate. I'll bet you Westport is getting water at a lower rate. We're going to have to research that than we are. I mean, this is it's just crazy. I mean, his administration, look, I've been around with a lot of mayors. I've dealt with a lot of mayors, but I have never seen anything like this. This is just like, it's bizarro world. That's what it is. It's just bizarro world. This guy's just nuts.
Well, we're the only city when it comes to rainwater tax than others towns because they don't do that. But yet they want to keep adding more to the landlords and to the homeowners. And so pretty soon, once everything goes up, they're just like, I can't be affording this. I'm going to sell my house and leave.
And
it's sad.
Yeah. And, you've got to feel, there's no sensitivity to the people of Fall River. Like I said, he lives in a dream world. He talked about Nantucket rents. Well, if you can afford Nantucket rents, you'd be living in Nantucket, obviously. But as I said on the last show. But the reality is it's crazy where he just doesn't have a clue. It's like, Paul, do you realize that the average median income in Fall River is $31,000 according to the United States Census Bureau? The household income is 52 and change. Rounded up to 53, it's still below. The only people that are leaving, David keeps commenting about the sidewalks. Everybody knows this. Look, the city's in disrepair. We're not collecting for water that we give Westport, but we're killing the residents and the homeowners of Florida. How about the people on fixed incomes, the retirees, the people who have had their houses paid for 30 years, 25, 30 years, and are now looking at maybe not being able to afford to stay in their own home because of all the tax increases and the water bill increases. This is crazy. I mean, look, all the mayors got their political appointments. All the mayors, their pals got good, some of them got good, but to the extent this guy's done, it's impossible. And now for him, as I said, he's not even bright enough to keep his own mouth shut. He should just shut up. Don't start talking about affordable housing now, Paul. We got the videos of you fundamentally saying that you don't give a damn about affordable housing. So it's like,
right.
I was in the room when you said that. I was in the room when you said that numerous times.
Oh, well, he said, "Go if I will support you if you buy a house." During about maybe 2 years ago, at the Flint neighborhood, he said that he got mad because it was live or it was recorded, which usually neighborhood meetings usually gets things recorded. Why you get upset? That's why he doesn't show up to our meetings. So.
Yeah, well, David's when he's talking about the elections, of course he's going to talk. But like I said, that's the worst thing he could do because everybody remembers him basically saying that they're not interested in that stuff. That he's never going to pull away from market rate housing. Building a building full of market rate housing and then say you've got 4 affordable housing units in it. Really? And what are you going to do? Have a magic lottery and give it to your friends? I don't know. We don't have enough affordable. This city, look, this is not Newton. We don't have a 2% poverty rate. We have nearly a 22% poverty rate, which means that we have nearly 1 out of every 4 people. We've got at least 1 out of every 5 because we're over 20%. That's 1/5. So 1 out of every 5, citizens of Fall River is living at or below the poverty rate. Is that a community that you think can afford a massive influx of market rate housing? You're the one who made this Nantucket.
Nope.
This is Nantucket for people who are from Detroit. People can. It just goes to show that you have, you moved to Somerset You didn't care about Fall River. Since you came back, all you've been doing is being a politician. You don't know about the people of Fall River. You don't care about the people of Fall River. For you to be so insensitive that you can, pretend after 6 years. And let's start from the beginning of this picture. Remember, you're the guy that said when you ran for public office that you were going to give us a tax break. You were going to be stable. Yeah, nobody can afford it. No, look, the average people in Florida can't afford this thing. Like you said, and you said it best. We have Nantucket rates. We're going to have Nantucket rates. Nobody in Fall River can afford Nantucket rates except maybe you. Because when you leave, who knows? Maybe you're moving to Nantucket. I don't know. You can move anywhere you want with all the money you've made. But I can tell you what, when you leave, you're going to leave a mark on Fall River. You're going to leave a mark that nobody's going to forget, because the next person who takes over, and hopefully that's after the next election, when he sees the real numbers, when they do a look at the real finances of this city, and I know you're negotiating contracts now, and I know one thing, that when all these contracts come due, we are going to be at or near receivership, which we are now. So go ahead, Jess, take it away.
Well, look, we keep talking about this for so many years, as you guys always keep bringing it up. Follow the money. Why is it that Paul Coogan, as a mayor, the past 6 years, has not done one thing when it comes to affordable and rental, when it comes to bringing in business, when it comes to these people outside of outside of the city wants to come in and just make mock rate apartments, but nothing will drive people to come to Fall River or to work. Okay, nothing. Business is shutting down already, and when that comes, again, we're excuse me, we're high rates on crime. We high rates on, renting apartments or buying a house. Our school system's down. So I just don't get when people saying that Fall River's doing great. Wow, the train's here. Okay, what is it going to do for Fall River residents? Not people from outside of the river. Okay, we need to help ourselves to remain here, to make a living. And I'm not saying we're going to be perfect, but again, we have to survive. What else with these people being so greedy? People, they don't care. They don't care about us. They were
No, but I'm reading that, but look, I'm going to tell you, look, that's a comment that I think a lot of people have. What's wrong with them? I'm going to tell you what's wrong with them. And this is what everybody who wants to get people out to vote, when you're talking to people in the supermarkets and in the coffee shops and on the street and everywhere you see, talk to them. If they stand still long enough, talk to them. There's nothing wrong with him. He's got a mind virus. He's a Democrat. The Democrats told you the border was closed, the economy was good, and they told you all these lies. And then now they're telling you it's okay to throw fire bombs at people because they own a Tesla. And it's okay to destroy property. It's okay to shoot people you don't like, but not if you do it to them, you're going to go to jail and you're a terrorist. But these people don't care. They're elitists. Elitists have a different mindset. Maybe for Friday's show, I'll pull my old book, Labor's Untold Story, that talks about people in Fall River working for peanuts in the 1850s, and the mill owners not really caring. But there's a part in that book that talks about the way the rich thought about the poor, when they talked about the deplorable conditions that the people in Fall River and other communities like Fall River, lived in the 3 decades. They said, the guys owned the mills, they owned the stores that the people buy, they owned the buildings that they lived in, they owned everything, and they didn't care. They considered them subhuman. And one of the rich guys said, you working children, chaining them to the machines, working them 14 hours a day. And they said, well, they're like, you can't let them have too much free time because all they do is fornicate and drink. So they were actually making that like they were doing these people a favor, paying them peanuts for money, chaining kids to machines, and in their diseased minds, they think that they're doing you a favor because all you want to do is fornicate and have children, and you're like some human life form. You're not just. They don't deal with regular people. And you look at it on a national level, these people are running around yelling and screaming about the destruction of democracy while they're attacking regular people. I saw a video the other day of some woman driving a Tesla, and there are a lot of liberals that drive Teslas. Somebody pulled up in front of her, jammed on the brakes, got out of the car with a mask on the car. It was a male, and started yelling at her, you got to sell this car. It's a Nazi car and blah, blah, blah. And then there was a video of down in New Orleans. They were having a demonstration, and somebody in a Tesla went by, and some guy attacked the Tesla and was beating on it with his fists. And children were watching, and every other word was F you, F Elon Musk, F Tesla, F this, F that. And they're teaching their little children to be savages and not care about anybody else. But if you did that to them, the first thing out of their mouth would be, you're a MAGA right-wing terrorist. Put them in jail. Put them in jail. David, you got to tell everybody, don't listen to their bullshit because they don't care. That's the bottom line. Let's cut out the horse shit. They're gonna lie to you. They're going to lie to you and tell you everything's great. Of course, everything's great for them. If you were making 120 grand and had a retirement that you could live on without touching that money, you'd be doing pretty good too. And that's Paul. And all his rich friends, his lawyer friends, his banker friends, and how many jobs do they have? We know lawyers that work for the city. They work for them in one department, in another department. They get this kind of contract thrown at them. I mean, look. This is what we got to change, and we have to change it. But the problem is, when you listen to their rhetoric, you're playing into their game. Don't even counter that. Just say you don't even know what you're talking. The people in Fall River just can't afford this. It's that simple. Well, no, Tesla is not a Nazi car, David. It's an American. It's the only 100% basically made American car. And I'm personally, I'm not an electric car fan. I mean, I'd never have an electric car unless,
no,
it was a last resort. Well, number one, I couldn't afford it.
Democrats, the Democrats wanted that for years, to have clean energy cars. But we've always told them, no, electric cars is going to be a problem during the winters and all that. And it's costs too much. Look what happens. Now they changed their minds. It's a bad car. Don't buy it. Oh my God, it's a Nazi car. Like, come on, grow the hell up. Like, look, the other day I was on Facebook, and I don't care about people's feelings. I like to joke on anything, and I post a funny meme of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Since it came out, the whole woke stuff, people like not seeing it that much. But yeah, and the meme said, maybe we'll add a Tesla in the car and it gets exploded. People can go buy tickets and watch it. And I said, I don't condone this type of stuff, but it is funny. But look, I'm just finding it so, as we're going to this, I'm just really disgusted, as always, when I see childish games like this. You want to be bitter and hateful people telling them that you have to sell your car? Come on. Did people remember back in the 1940s, one of our American, who had, who supported Hitler. Nobody back then told him he didn't want any cars. But today's time, when they look at that, like, oh my God, was it Toyota? I'm trying to remember which company that he was. Oh, not Tesla, but I think it was Toyota. I have to look it up because look,
Well,
if
Japan
people
was
are
an
going to
ally
be
of the Nazis ultimately anyway. So the Japanese
right, but
were allies in World War II. So
but it just goes to show, like everybody wants to complain about past histories of people supported or like ideas. Like, look, I don't have to agree on anything, but it doesn't make me want to not saying, well, I'm not going to purchase this, or I'm not going to go to Chick-fil-A because it supports anti-LGBT. Don't tell me where to eat, where to go take a crap. That's my business. What I do is my own thing. I don't get to dictate you. Why are you dictating me? Why are you hiding behind a mask or want to threaten people? Like, come on. And look, I'm not a big fan of Chick-fil-A anyways, but again, it's like that's my business. I'm tired of seeing people nowadays are dictating others in this country. But yet the Democrats are always the good guys and the Republicans are the evils. Like, again, I don't have to agree on both sides, but be a be a common thinker.
yeah.
But that's what we're missing today.
Well, but listen, the first mistake you make when you listen to politicians is listening to them. Because let's look at their record. The Democrats, especially, I mean, the Republicans, they all lie to a degree. They all manipulate. But everything they say, you got to look at their actions. They were against, they went nuts about the Republicans when they threatened to close the government. But now when the Republicans are in power, they call them everything. This is not crazy. You're going to put thousands and thousands of people out of work. Yet they had no problem with it. They loved Teslas when they were ramming their Green New Deal down people's throats. And now, because he's on a different side, they want you to destroy Teslas. All the EV talk is gone. These people, they just talk to deflect your mind. Think about what they do. They're only interested in power and money. They don't care. Don't listen to anything they tell you. Now I understand. Now all of a sudden, Paul understands that the rents are high in Fall River. 6 years later, from the beginning of his first term, we saw the rents beginning to escalate. We had numerous Facebook comments that we showed on the show about people going crazy and about what their rents are going to. We saw that we showed part of the video of the city council meeting when they said you're going to pay more for your water whether you use it or not. All these things show. Don't listen to what I'm going to do. Well, Paul's going to be, look, first term, I'm going to be transparent. Least transparent mayor in the history of the city of Fall River. I'm going to obey the law. He has circumvented, manipulated, and ignored the law through his entire term. I'm going to give you a tax break. He didn't. The second term, this time I'm giving you a tax break or a reduction. No, he didn't. He's doing what politicians do. He hopes you've got the short-term memory of a gnat. Don't listen to them. Pay attention to what they've done. Look at Fall River. When Paul took over office, the rents were $700 or $800 a month. Now they're $1,500 to $2,500. Okay? Look at your water bill. Look at the tax bills. Ask your landlord how much he's paying. Why did he raise your rents? Because of this. This is what you can't listen to these people. You got to pay attention to the reality you live in. This is what Trump campaigned on. This is why Trump got elected. He told the American people, do not listen to their bullshit. Look at what's happened to your life with them running the government. Look at what they're doing. They're allowing hundreds of thousands of illegals to pour across this country, and they tell you that that's not happening. Inflation is through the roof, and they're telling you that you're seeing things. So this is the whole key. The key is that, look, these people, and Paul's not some new politician saying, trust me, I'm going to do this. They've trusted him with 3 terms. Well, not they, the political hacks that elect them, because we only get 12, 13, 14,000 people out to the polls. People are going to get their ass to the poll, and you got to bounce them. It's that simple. This guy does not belong in office. I don't care whether he was high-fiving every student at Durfee, and he pretends to be Paul the nice guy. We've seen his alter ego. You ever see that movie, Primal Fear?
I think I've
With
heard
Edward
of it.
Norton when he killed the bishop, or
I think I've heard of it.
and he had like a double personality. One was an evil monster, and he played a real timid, stuttering guy. He got off. He beat the rap because they thought he was this stuttering guy, but then he got off because he had a dual personality and stuff. But that's Paul. Paul, the same Paul that pretends to be Mr. Nice Guy, is the guy that told people to go jump in a river, go. If you don't own a house, shut up. You don't have an opinion. And I mean, don't listen. Pay attention.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the whole streets and sidewalks has been a mess for years. And they talked about the opera funds the other day and the missed opportunity that we've had for the past few years. Because next year they get the money, whatever left goes back. So they've lost the opportunity to fix this city better, and they didn't. So that's one fail that Paul did not do right for everybody. So again, this is our time to vote him out. This is the election time now. So if you're really ticked off with him as a mayor and being involved in the school board, get him out. This is your chance. I don't want to hear no excuses. But there's only, it doesn't matter. Again, if you don't go out and vote, you're the problem. Wake up. And I don't know what more I can say. I could keep bringing this up till November.
There's really nothing more to say, Jeff, because we've said it. And look, bottom line is that Paul can say anything he wants. But the reality is we have to live in a reality, and you have to look at the facts. What they do is they deflect everything now. Just think about the propaganda. They are masters, and it's ironic they call everybody else Nazis, but they use the Nazi propaganda methodology that Hitler and Goebbels came up with. Tell a big enough lie often enough, and people will begin to believe it. They keep telling you the train's coming. The city's going to get better. You watch. It's going to transition. No, it's not. It's not going to get better for you. It's not going to. You can't manufacture money in your bedroom and go out and spend it. The reality is that this is nothing more than a big giant con, because that goes along with the checks in the mail of promises never kept. How long have they been promising Fall River is going to get better? And it hasn't been, because they get rich and you get poorer. And the city's getting in more disrepair. Remember, at one time, Fall River was going to get better when we got the battleship. Oh, we're going to get zillions of tourists down here. The Fall River is going to be one. They're going to all be flocking down, and they're going to go all over Fall River and do that.
Look, I gotta say, Chip, I was still an infant. I was a baby when that started coming, and I'm sure, I don't know how things were in the mid 80s, but things were so different back then. There was business there. There was restaurants. I don't know. Are you saying back then it didn't draw attention? It did not bring people down there when it first started? I'm just asking you, because again, I was still younger.
Well, it drew a little bit of attention, but not the attention. Look, I've been saying this for decades. Fall River is never gonna become a viable city based on its tourism. Even cities that did have good tourism, when they mismanaged the money, they didn't succeed. People didn't get a better life. Miami, one of them. Atlantic City, number 2. They got billions of dollars. But listen, the battleship didn't bring in a zillion people. Neither did the HMS Bounty. That spent a little time before it went back to Fiji or wherever the hell it went. And the other thing was, I was on the board of Heritage
That's
State
right.
Park.
You're right.
Years ago,
You
when
were.
they first created Heritage State Park, I was on the board with Mark Sullivan from CFC, from Citizens for Citizens, who was a real man of the people. He helped a lot of poor people, and Mark had a lot of empathy for the poor people, and he did a lot for them. And Citizens for Citizens still goes on after he passed. He was a very good close friend of mine. Used to ride motorcycles with me every weekend for years. And I remember he was on the board with us, and I remember Kenny Fiola going down there and giving us a presentation that the carousel was going to bring 500,000 tourists to Fall River. And I looked at him and I went, you think that, well, we call them Derby horses, right? From Lincoln Park. And my era, like the bubbler with the water coming out, they don't have those anymore. Fall River, in this part of Fall River, in that part of Rhode Island, calls a bubbler and Derby horses, not carousels. Well, the carousel is going to bring 500,000. I'll never forget it. Rest his soul. Mark looked at him and said, "Are you effing kidding me? You're telling me that people coming from out of state are going to get off the highway to ride a wooden horse when they can go to Newport or Cape Cod? You are effing crazy."
Well,
and and guess what? Look what happened to the carousel. It didn't bring. Listen, then they named it a gateway city. That was going to change everything, because when they called us a gateway city, people were going to come here. I mean, it's all horse shit for them to stay in office and get richer, and it never worked. It hasn't worked since the 80s. So,
it's on. As you bring that up, because unfortunately, it started to come decay already, because they always keep saying, "What's going on with the carousel? Why is nobody opening it up?" Sometimes because they only open up certain days on the weeks. But I'm like, oh, I think the last time I saw it, they said that they were going to get some grants and fix the roof and all that, reclean it. Again, you're going to only do so much, but you need to. You're not really advertising to get people to come to Fall River, and I want to see something like that. To me, I would like to bring my niece to go down there and enjoy the families and go and do that. But again, you can only do that so often. And when you talk about going to tour, like I could go over to when I went to Bristol 4th of July parade last year, it was huge. My first time, I'm like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. This is like the best parade I've seen. Why is it we don't have that here in Florida anymore? And it's now when we did the Christmas parade, half of while I'm walking by, there were people there, but it wasn't packed. And I've seen some of the storefronts downtown. Half of it because of unfortunately, somebody got hurt before, and they blocked the whole entrance. They blocked you can't walk half downtown. So it's like it's a shit show. The roads are bad. When you're walking, you're gonna get hurt. Not just by driving, but just by walking. Come on, our own city can't even fix our sidewalks and streets. Oh, but again, to save the city, he's gonna fix down there. He's gonna put money.
$7 million.
How? How?
$7 million, Jeff.
Did he not say we were flush with cash years ago, and yet he spent it all on his friends and hired new positions? Come on.
Well, look, this is where reality has to bite everybody in the ass, because you got to look at this.
Nobody wants to hear reality. No.
I know. You can't run these things, because look what happens. You're going to get a carousel. If a private entity will not take it over because it will cost too much money to operate that, you will not make a profit. It just doesn't generate enough income. So now what happens? What's the other option? Government takes it over. They let it run into the ground, but you keep funding it and repairing it with your own tax money. So it's a losing proposition on the people for it. Look, all these things they're not fixes. The only thing that fixes a blue collar city and brings them back is jobs. You never see a politician say, they say we need tourism, we need to have boat races. That didn't work either. Remember the boat races? Oh, the boat races.
I remember. Yeah.
Yep, that didn't work either. The thing is, people come to the boat races, they get out of town. You got to look at reality, and you got to look at it objectively. We need the city to prioritize its citizens. We got to tighten our belt. We got to look for things to get people in this community working. We got to look at apprenticeship. They did it in Rhode Island. They had welding courses, and they got people jobs at electric boat. They're doing it all over the country. They did it in North Dakota. Kristi Noem, when she was the governor, had commercials. Come to North Dakota. If you have a license, we'll accept it. You can go to work right away. And if you don't, you want to become an apprentice in a trade, we'll pay you $80,000 a year to be an apprentice. And her economy was booming. Jobs and money create cities, blue collar cities. Now look, you can have a Newton. Newton doesn't need industry. They don't need to put their residents to work because they all work in Boston. They're all college professors and engineers and stuff. And the average income is 5 times what is in Fall River. So that's a bedroom community. We're talking about a blue collar city that was created around textile mills. This is a working city. This city to survive has to work, not have derby horses and boats floating over there. Because look at how many times I get sick of saying this. Listen, morons, politicians. Fall River is between Newport and Cape Cod. If you were coming from Ohio or Indiana and you opened up your tour book and it said Newport, 12-mile drive, Cliff Walk, Tennis Hall of Fame, Brick Alley, where they filmed the mansions, where they filmed The Great Gatsby. Like I said, all these things. And Cape Cod. Well, Cape Cod speaks for itself. They made a movie. White Christmas, Bing Crosby. On old Cape Cod.
True Lies.
Cape Cod. And so where are you going to stop? You're going to stop at Newport, then head to Cape, or are you going to stop to go ride a wooden horse? Like Mark said, rest his soul, so many years ago, that these people are batshit crazy. They think they're going to convince you that a tourism director is going to help Fall River. No, we will never survive. And even if it did, which it won't, but even if it did, look what happened to Miami. Miami's always been one of the top tourist destinations in the United States, but it was one of the worst places to live in if you're a citizen because they weren't putting the money back into the community. Same thing with Atlantic City. I don't care how much money tourism makes or derby horses make, even if they would be viable, which they're not. The reality is they won't use the money correctly, just like Paul didn't use the opera money.
And that's the problem.
Does it take a genius to figure out that Paul doesn't have any kind of leadership ability, and he doesn't care about the city? He's thinking about getting his friends rich. The reality is he misappropriated opera money. He's misappropriated all kinds of money, and he is not doing what it takes. None of these councilors. Let's see what the councilors ultimately do. But I think really we're talking a lot about this because today I think this is the beginning. The weather is breaking. We are going to see people really, when the water bills, the tax bills, everything else comes out, and it's only the beginning. You're going to see a massive, I think we will get people out in droves this year if people are willing to run. You got to have some candidates. But if people are running, I think you'll see another turnout. They came out for Trump. They'll come out to change their own city if you go to them and bring this message to them. Don't listen to their bullshit because Paul's going to tell you, the train's here now. Everything is hunky-dory. Give it some time. Remember, the check's in the mail, and a few others that you can't say on this show. Kept.
I want to say this. If you're gonna get your head exploded, because I went to I recently went to a neighborhood meeting last month. No, not last month, in the middle of this month. And he used to be a former of the Historic Society. And he was telling me and a few people that in a few years, even now, I believe that they're gonna have to tear down the Braga Bridge and have to rebuild it because they don't want to take, because he's saying that it's gonna take like 5 years to rebuild it, and then they would have to move the battleship. That's what he's telling me and a few people, and they have to move the battleship down where the war memorial is. Now, I said to myself, you're not going to see a lot of people are going to support that. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to, there's no accidents are going to ever happen, but the way how, I'm going to get some details. I'm going to ask him to show me more information on that, because you're talking about 5 years of rebuilding the Braga Bridge. You're going to cost millions and millions of dollars on that. People are flipping out.
Billions of dollars.
Billions. I said millions, billions.
Well, look, is it possible that's going to happen? I think it highly is. Look what happened to the Washington Bridge in Providence. The government, Pete Buttigieg, Pothole Pete, who did nothing as Secretary of Transportation except ignore people. They ignored people who had Republican signs in North Carolina after the hurricane. It took them a year to get to East Palestine, Pennsylvania, where people were getting sick and dying from the pollution and stuff because of the rail tragedy they had there. They don't give a damn about the people. And they don't give a damn about the infrastructure of the United States. Like I said, I'm looking at my schedule, $1.9 million for consulting for Power Africa programs in Nigeria, $47 million to Afghanistan for women. This is what they do with their money. And then when they spend hundreds of billions of dollars, remember, I showed you that thing, 1,600 feet of track in 20 years at the cost of $200 billion in California. Doesn't go anywhere, never ran. The government loves to spend our money, but nothing ever gets fixed. Look, it took 10 years to paint it, David. The government can't do anything. If you want something to be screwed up, give it to the government. The only thing they know how to do is hire everybody they know and spend 10 times what it took. Remember the $500 toilet seats that we were buying? They found on the federal government, $500 for a toilet seat. You can go down to Home Depot or Walmart and buy one for about $8, but they were paying $500 for them. So.
Hey, speaking of that, because we're talking about the Braga Bridge, but yet didn't Carol Viola spend millions of dollars to put blue lights or color or lights at the bridge? Then they shut it off.
Yeah.
That's wasteful. That's wasteful spending. If they're gonna knock it down the line.
And remember, little lights are gonna bring people to Fall River. They see the lights. Oh, look, the lights are there near Fall River. Let's go to Fall. It's bullshit. Everything's bullshit. Everybody forgot it. It took 10 years to paint that bridge. 10 years to paint the freaking bridge.
My mind, wow, 10 years already. Jeez.
It took them 10 years to paint the Braga Bridge. So that's the federal government. I saw them personally. I used to go to Vegas 4 times a year, minimum.
Yeah.
I went one year where every single time I went there was a new casino that had just got started a year before that was totally complete and ready for rock. They can build multi-billion-dollar casinos that are like cities in less than a year in private industry. It took us 10 years to paint a bridge. You wonder why that they hate Elon Musk and they hate Donald Trump? Because when Donald Trump was building buildings, nobody was taking 10 years to paint them because they wouldn't be working for him because he understands that.
Well, look, you just said Vegas. They just knocked down last year or two one of the oldest casinos, and they're already going to build up even the bigger stadium. They even just doing a stadium in that big round dome.
Yeah, the
They're,
sphere.
they're throwing tourism there all the time. Even I'll say this now, it's getting crazier there and it's getting more expensive, but people will go down to Vegas. People will go down to Vegas.
No,
I'm sure.
listen, they know it. Look, in Las Vegas, it's the reality of business. If your casino doesn't make money, they knock it down. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't. It's the real world. In the government, the more inefficient you are, the more money you get. It's like, okay, we built a school. 40 years it lasted. And the thing was in total disrepair. They showed you the pictures of water, like waterfalls coming down. And then when you ask, well, where was the maintenance department? No answer. People are making $150,000, $160,000 being in charge of school maintenance, and they don't maintain anything. And you wonder why.
Yeah.
We find out every single building in the city of Fall River, when they knock it down, they tell you it's in a state of disrepair. And not one politician says, get me the head of the maintenance division, and you explain to me how this building got to be the way it is. How could you allow this building to fall in total disrepair that now it has to be demolished? What were you getting paid for? What were you doing? No. You know what they do? They give them a pay raise and 6 assistants. If this is the way you want to keep your government going, remember, that's where CJ's calling me. CJ, we're on the air. Yes, CJ, we're on the air. Still 3 minutes. What? Oh, I know. I announced that. I said CJ fixed it. He got the gremlin. He beat the gremlin up. How are you doing? All right. Say hello. Hey, bye. So we're on YouTube. Yeah. Well, the only difference between all the other shows we did it now is that we're on YouTube. It still tells me the same thing it told me for every other show. You are live on YouTube. How we go? CJ found whatever gremlin it was there, whatever was missing, and he fixed it. It was probably something on his computer that didn't get transferred to my computer, but it is what it is. So everybody on YouTube, you can watch it again and do what you got to do. But look, we talk ad nauseum about the reality. And that's the thing. You've got to go out there and talk to the people about the reality that you and I and everybody that watches this show and talks about these subjects lives every day. The reality of that, when your water bill comes in, that you're going to pay more, even if you didn't use the damn stuff, that your tax bill is going to go up every single year. There was a time back in the good old days, like you said, in the 80s, where a mayor would not raise taxes every year. They would never in a million years raise taxes in an election year. And they would be out of office. And we used to routinely bounce people out of office. And,
yes, you have.
Then all those people got rich and moved to Somerset, just like that politician I talked about in the opening of the show. He was telling the other guy he's moving. He sold his house and he's moving out of Fall River. Yep, he got reelected. Now he's got another term, and now he'll just move to some suburb. And by the time that's done, he's ready to retire. He's been in that position for a very long time. If he doesn't get reelected in the next election, he'll just file his papers and get his big fat retirement. This is what they do. You don't see Paul Coogan will be out of Fall River. If he's not elected mayor, he will be out of Fall River so fast your head will spin. There'll be a paper trail.
And what does that tell you? It tells you that he did not care to want to be involved in the city. Oh, I'm here to want to make this city great. But yet, yeah, I lost. I'm gonna take my money and my pension and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Well, the first thing he did when he retired was leave Fall River. He moved to Somerset. He had no intention of doing anything or having any investment in Fall River except for his own financial gain. And then somebody called him up and said, Paul, why don't you move back to Fall River and run for the school committee? Because your friend who wouldn't make you a principal, we can get rid of her. and you'll be a vote against her. And he came back, and now his political career began, and now he found a niche, and he's going to stay here like a carpetbagger, fill his carpet bag with money, and when he's not a politician anymore, he's going to take his carpet bag and he's going to run away like they all do. Remember when Kathy Ann ran to Westport? She got tired of Fall River. She ran to Westport. She went over there and she didn't get elected, and she ran right back to Fall River to try to get elected again.
That's right.
And what did she do again? What did she do again,
left.
Jeff? Took off again. Bye-bye.
All the way up to New Maine or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But listen, guys, it's been great. CJ will be on Friday. We're on YouTube again. I don't know. It doesn't get any better than this. The weather is breaking. Campaign season is upon us. We all love the politics and going, taking it to these people. So let's get out. Let's get ready to go. Let's get ready to rock and roll. And we're going to turn this city. We're going to turn this city around.
Well, I want you all to have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday.
That's right. Stay angry, and we will remind you again if you want to attend CJ's.
That's right. Yep.
It will be tomorrow, 4 to 7 at Hathaway in the North End. And with that, you guys have a good one. Stay safe, stay angry, and we will sign off until Friday.